Guten Morgen, guten Tag, my name is Manaya and welcome to my channel. Uploading this video in the week of Labor Day is very appropriate, I think, because this would be the week that Alison De Laurentiis went missing. I mean, not that anyone was really looking for her, but, you know. Speaking of appropriate, I feel like I am dressed very appropriately for this video because I also look like I have a 9 to 5 I'm going to, just like the girls, the liars who were dressed like they had a corporate secretary job. Anyways, welcome to my video where I will be discussing the Pretty Liars books. For this video, I'll be only discussing the first 2 books. I was gonna do the first 4 books originally, but the first 2 books I feel like have enough differences to discuss and just a lot of characters that they keep name dropping that it's gonna be a long video. Hopefully a shorter video than the first 2 times I'll try to film this. I've tried to script this and film this video twice before this. So long. There's just so much to talk about. I'm gonna keep the yappery to minimum, I swear, because who wants to watch a long video of yappery? It's very hard for me. I've rewatched the original show many times, just so many times, concerning amount of times. But I had never read the books, though I had heard for years that they were different than the show, but I didn't realize how different. It was actually a jarring experience to read the books after watching the show so many times. I know the first 4 books is like the most similar to the first 2 seasons of the show, but like season 3 is like its own entity. That was something else. But I would say Mona's arc is what they say is the most similar to the books, though I read the first 2 books, Pretty Liars and Flawless, for this video, and I would say the first book is kind of like the pilot episode of the show, just with a lot more details, and Flawless, the second book, is more like episode 6 of the first season, the dance, but just a lot different. I say the dance episode because there's a dance that's the main event, but otherwise it's kind of its own entity. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, there's so many things, even to the 6th episode, that just don't happen in the books. That was something else. But, you know, let's discuss. Something important you have to know going into the books is the books are actually divided into 4 different POVs for each of the girls because their storylines don't really overlap. I would say each girl has their own storylines in the books that don't really overlap with anyone else. If anything, I think once you get to near end of the book, there's always this one event. I say always, like, I haven't read 2 books, but there's this one event that occurs is the one time they all start discussing with each other. Like, the first book, it's the funeral, because like I said, it's the pilot episode. And for the second book, Flawless, it's the dance. That's when they start talking. Spoiler. Yeah. Otherwise, they don't really overlap with each other. And a reason for that is actually Alison met the girls in 6th grade. Because before the girls, she was friends with these 2 girls named Naomi and Riley, who do get mentioned. And I feel like knowing the fact that Alison dumped them for the liars is kind of important to know. But, you know, they're not that important, I would say. But she dumps them for the liars in 6th grade, and she goes missing right before 8th grade begins. And then Arya and her family leave during 8th grade, or like before 8th grade begins, and they return when the girls start sophomore year of high school. Which is kind of an important detail, because if you do the math, the girls were only friends from somewhere between middle of 6th grade till 8th grade began. And they haven't spoken in 3 years. And, you know, middle school friendships usually don't last, but they especially don't last if the one person that bonded you guys together disappears. And before Alison disappeared that summer was when the Jenna thing occurred, which I feel like if anyone's watched the show, they're probably like, God, the Jenna thing. They mention the Jenna thing so much. But I would say the Jenna thing is very important in the second book. It's something that the girls kind of tease in the first book, as in like they kind of discuss it, but not really. But something to know about the Jenna thing, like a main difference from the show, is the Jenna thing doesn't really factor in Jenna herself that much. They don't really mention Jenna that much, if anything. I would say Jenna only makes 3 appearances in the books, while Toby is who is more prominent in the books, especially the second book. Like, Jenna and Toby only make 1 appearance in the first book, and just like the show, it's at the funeral. But the second book is where Toby's more prominent, you know, they're back in town. So, you know, we'll get more into that later. The second book's really where they discuss the Jenna thing, so that's where I'll discuss the Jenna thing more. But, you know, I just wanted to mention that because I feel like Jenna, since the pilot episode, was very, very, like, integral to the show. Not really. Anyways, let's discuss. Oh yeah, another main difference to know is something that the show definitely changed was how rich the girls and just the town of Rosewood was. I would say it's a very, very like upper middle class area. And the girls actually attend a private school. So, you know, I feel like I should mention that since I mentioned their outfit of choice for school. The girls go to a private school where they wear like uniforms. It's like a fancy school. It kind of reminds me of the school from Inheritance Games. Like it's very fancy, you know, very huge and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like a reason for that change might have been because Pretty Little Liars and Gossip Girl was around the same time. And they were very similar if you think about it, with like uniformed school, private school, upper middle class area, secrets being exposed by this anonymous person. Yeah. So maybe that's why they changed it, because I feel like them being rich is very like important in the books, because it kind of makes sense how they do some stuff, and they name drop like crazy. It's a little weird that they changed that, but you know. Actually, if you've ever seen the Pretty Little Liars books, probably in an English classroom, the books have a doll on them, each cover, right? The first book has, I'm pretty sure, Allison on the cover. And the second book, starting from Flawless, there's a different doll on each cover. And the dolls are actually supposed to represent the girl that the books are more about than the rest of them. Though it's divided into 4 POVs, one girl has more storyline, more arcs in a book than the other 3. And for the first book, it's very evenly divided because it's, you know, introduction to each character. You're like meeting them for the first time. You know, there's like an even amount of storylines. Though, I will say, you know, when I was writing it down about like what really went down in their chapters, Emily, who, you know, starts the book with her chapter, doesn't really have much in her storyline, I would say, you know, quantity wise. Emily is actually a ginger swimmer who keeps mentioning her hair and hair color a lot. She'll be like, my hair is so dry from chlorine, which, I mean, I get it. I used to swim, though my hair was never really damaged because I didn't swim that much. I didn't do like swim team or anything like she did. But, you know, baby, put a mask on, because she was like, there's a tinge of green. I'm like, you might want to get that checked. I don't know if that's, I mean, like, maybe that's a chlorine, you know, in your hair. Maybe you're not washing your hair. But she'll mention it a lot. That's why it pisses me off. She'll be like, my strawberry blonde hair. And I'm like, we get it. I heard you the first time. I don't need you to hear you the millionth time. But something that the show actually changed very much in the show was Emily has siblings. Emily? Yeah, Emily has siblings. She actually has an older sister who's very prominent in her storyline, at least for the first 2 books. Carolyn, who's also a ginger on the swimming team along with her, because Carolyn's her older sister by 1 year. She is someone who Emily kind of mentions, like, she feels like that's who she should be like, because she's the golden child. She's her parents' favorite. That's who she should be like. And that's kind of more mentioned because Emily's storyline is kind of around Maya and her relationship with her parents, especially, you know, once she meets Maya. And I don't know if it's kind of like a Freudian slip or whatever, but immediately as she meets Maya and like they start talking, and she finds out that she's a junior going into, I said sophomore year, didn't I? They're juniors. They are juniors. I'm sorry. That's on me, guys. That's my bad. So it's been quite a while. But yeah, as she meets Maya, she kind of goes like, oh, maybe she could be like the friend that I had with Allison, which is like, you want the friendship you had with Allison back, girl. She's like, the kind of best friend Allison was. Well, Maya and her like immediately get along, you know, they meet. They actually, Emily, for the first time ever since she's been swimming, skips a swim meet. Scandalous. To hang out with Maya. Weirdly enough, to swim at a creek. So girl, you know, you're still swimming. You could have said it's a different swim practice. And, you know, her mom's all mad that she skipped a meet. And it's like, I don't hang around with Maya. She's a bad influence. Because one thing to mention, Pam, who's actually Kathleen in the books, is a racist. Rosewood is a predominantly white town, and Maya is a black girl from California who moved to this predominantly white town. And Emily's family is actually very conservative. They kind of keep mentioning that. And Kathleen is a racist. So the whole time, Emily's kind of stressed about the feeling she's getting, you know, for Maya. And she's concerned because she's like, my family's like this uber conservative family. She's kind of thinking like, oh, they're not going to be okay with this, that I'm a girl. Her mom's a racist. That's 2 strikes against Maya, unfortunately. Because her mom, if you thought Pam was annoying in the show, Kathleen is so... And I haven't even gotten to the most annoying part about her, apparently. If what I've heard is correct, she's going to get even more annoying. But her storyline's kind of around that. And she was dating Ben, who's on the boys' swim team. And actually, I'm pretty sure Ben might also be a little racist, because he's also like, oh god, you skipped a swim meet. Oh, she might be a bad influence. But that would not be Ben's only problem, would it? She actually kind of wants to quit the swim team, which is kind of why Kathleen's all like, oh god, she's a bad influence, but she doesn't, which I kind of think symbolizes the fact that Emily can never fully, you know, stand up for herself and what she wants, because what she wants is not swimming. She does not really want to be a swimmer. It's something she's been doing, so she feels like she has to keep doing. But, you know, as soon as she's like threatened to quit, it's kind of like an employee who, as soon as they're like, I want to quit, the boss is like, I gotta give you a raise. Because as soon as she wants to quit, the captain's like, the coach is like, I'm gonna make you captain. Yes, I will. And she's like, well, I'm not quitting then. Yeah, which to her is like, well, my older sister isn't a captain, but I am. And I kind of mentioned her being captain, not that because it's important. I feel like the swimming thing is barely a thing in the second book. It's just something that kind of is a little bit important in the second book, but not really. And at Noel Khan's back to school party, when she kisses Maya in the photo booth, which is, if you've watched the show or read episode Pretty Little Liars, it's very important. They actually, the photo thing where they're like, oh god, where'd the photo strip of us kissing go? That doesn't happen. What does happen is Ben seeing them kiss in the photo booth and call them a D-slur, which is something you have to keep in mind. These books were written in 2007, and they'll let you know they were written in 2007, trust me. And actually, anytime Ben makes an appearance in the first or second book, bro is just saying the D-slur like someone's paying him to. Just, what's going on? Yeah, he throws beer on them and breaks up with her, and they take the photo and they're like, oh, we look so nice. Well, and that's kind of about it for Emily's chapters, except Emily's obviously uncomfortable with her feelings for Maya, especially after the breakup. And once Allison's body is discovered in Maya's, gazebo, Allison's house, They kind of move into a motel because, why wouldn't they? It's a crime scene now, their house that they're living in. And at the motel, which apparently is like the house, the rooms are above this like restaurant that everyone from school goes to. After Allison's funeral, I'm pretty sure this happens, they kiss, and Emily kind of feels uncomfortable. She's like, oh God, this is so weird. Like, she's scared. And what kind of tips her over the edge is the fact that the room that they were in, like that Maya wanted to kiss in, the door was unlocked. So she's like, anyone could have walked in. This is so dangerous. I can't do this anymore. And that's kind of it for Maya and Emily's relationship a little bit, because it doesn't really get mentioned in the second book. I hope it does in the third book. I kind of do love Maya. That's my girl. And then we have Arya. I don't like Arya. Not a fan of Arya. I wasn't in the show, at least. I was just kind of indifferent or hated her at some points, but mostly indifferent. But I will say, in the books, I find her annoying. But that's good, because that means she has a personality. She didn't have one in the show. I'm sorry. Like, every storyline she had was around Ezra, who's very annoying. I don't find Ezra very exciting. And, in the books, it's actually very different. She has a personality. An annoying one. But she has a personality, guys. And who makes a lot of appearances in her chapters? Mike. I'm pretty sure Mike made more appearances in the first book in Arya's chapters than he ever did in the 7 seasons of Pretty Liars, the show. But I would say Arya's chapters are more about her relationship, air quote, relationship with her teacher, Ezra, who, by the way, immediately, first day, he's like, oh my God, that's my student. Oh my God, I shouldn't. And immediately, he's easily convinced, like 3 Arya chapters later, he'll be like, I shouldn't, but you want to come to my apartment? Like, no, that's a child, man. That's a child. But thank God that relationship does not last long, because when she leaves her little Razor flip phone in his apartment, and A texts her, and he's like, oh my God, you've told people. They break up, and that's that. At least for the first 2 books, that's that. They break up, though I wouldn't consider a breakup, because I didn't consider a relationship, did I? They break up, and that's that for Ezra for the first 2 books. And we cheered. I would say the rest, and more importantly, Arya's storyline is about Byron's affair with Meredith and how that affects them. Because, Arya found out about the relationship when she was with Allison before they left. And it's very prominent because, honestly, I would say threatens Arya about Ezra once or twice. She'll be like, oh, you're kissing your teacher. But it's really more about Byron and Meredith, especially in the second book. It's really more about Byron and Meredith's relationship. Who, by the way, they leave for 3 years and immediately they're back barely a week. And Byron immediately is like, I can't have dinner. I'm working late. He was not working late because he's a singer. They actually... Mike and Arya kind of hang out, and at a bar, by the way, if you're not taking your 15-year-old brother to a bar, what are you doing? They hang out at the bar, and that's when Mike sees Byron and Meredith kissing, and that's how he finds out about the affair, which I don't remember, actually, weirdly enough, if Mike actually ever found out about Byron and Meredith. I mean, I assume he did, because Byron and Ella broke up at some point because of the affair. So I assume he found out about it at some point. Just not like that, which I think is very important. Because, he does become more prominent. The affair, especially the affair, the way it affects him becomes more prominent in the second book. And I've read a little sneak peek, I think, later in the books too. He's actually a pretty major character in the book series. than he is ever in the show. And if you know, you know why. I know why. And actually, Arya's appearance, physical appearance, I would say is pretty similar, except they keep mentioning that she's the tallest one, and Arya and Mike both have like black hair and like deep blue or ice blue eyes, they mention. So just imagine Lucy Hale. Honestly, I think that's pretty close. The reason I don't like Arya, the reason I find Arya annoying, is because Arya's very snobby, which is crazy. How are you snobby in a very rich, like, neighborhood, right? You would think the other rich kids are snobby too. This girl's snobby as hell. She's like that one person who studies abroad and won't shut the hell up about it. About to be me, hopefully, next semester. Yeah, she just won't shut the hell up about it. She'll be like, when I was in Europe, oh, the arts, the culture, when I took a train to France, oh, to visit a theater. She, like, mentions this over and over and over again, and it's like, girl, we get it. And she'll literally, like, Noel Khan's actually interested in her as soon as she returns, and she is not interested in him, because she'll be like, he's a typical rosewood boy, like my brother. He doesn't even know the art, the culture of Europe. The way she describes him, like, he's a typical rosewood boy, obsessed with girls and sports, like he's 16. What more nuance do you want from a 16-year-old? The third chapter actually belongs to my girl, Hannah. I love Hannah, my favorite. Who actually has brunette hair, not blonde like they did in the show. She actually has brunette hair and auburn eyes. And she too mentions her appearance a lot, because a lot of people actually don't like Hannah in the books because they think she's too shallow and too narcissistic a little bit. They think she's a little too into her appearance, which to me, makes sense, because her ED is something they never really touch on in the show. They're like, oh, once. It's not like that here. It's a very big part of her personality. And Hannah, like the rest of Rosewood, is actually rich. She is rich. Which, obviously saying something, because Ashley is a single parent, it's a single income household. But they are very rich. There's no like, oh God, we're barely staying afloat. There's no mention of money, really. They're rich, which I think helps put Hannah's shoplifting to a new light. It kind of symbolizes it's not a thing she does out of necessity to stay popular because she can't afford blah blah. No, it's something she, I feel like, needs to do to fulfill something within herself. Because first of all, the thing she shoplifts is not sunglasses. It's actually earrings and a necklace from a part of a set from Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's? No. I shoplift at Tiffany's. And her mom, helps solve the problem when she's caught shoplifting, and actually goes and buys her the rest of the set, like the full set, the next day. The way her mom solves the issue actually is kind of funny, because she kind of gaslights the shop girl. She's like, I want to shoplift it. What are you talking about? You're crazy. You sound crazy. But unfortunately, the little dealing with the police being solved does not last long, because first of all, speaking of shoplifting, let's mention Mona, who's very prominent in Hannah's chapters. I would say, honestly, out of all the girls, Hannah's the one who kind of has friends, or mentions having friends, because I feel like nobody else does. They'll be like, oh, this one girl, like my friend, but they don't mention those people again, But Hannah and Mona's friendship, I don't know if I'd really classify that as a friendship, because it's very superficial, very chill. It's kind of like someone who you wouldn't really get deep and personal with, because you don't really trust them to be there for you in your worst days. It's very, surface level. There's really nothing going on, which I think, adds to the fact that I think a big part of why I feel like it's also surface level is because Hannah mentions, especially once her and the liar start talking a little bit again, that Mona and Hannah never really talked about the past they had with each other when Allison was there. That's something they don't touch over. They actually try to avoid, especially Hannah. Which kind of adds the fact that they really can't talk to each other about anything. And you'll see that in the second book. But, they really can't talk to each other about anything. Speaking of eggshells, another eggshell relationship in Hannah's life is her relationship with her boyfriend, Sean. If you don't remember Sean, because why would you? Sean is the virgin boyfriend that Hannah had, who, by the way, in the middle of a group hangout apparently goes, I'm going to be a virgin forever, guys. Which I think is a little crazy to just not even talk about with your partner at all. You're not even going to talk to her, like pull her aside, like, oh, I know you want to get hot and heavy, but I'm going to stay a virgin, so just so you know. You drop that in the middle of a group hangout. It's crazy. It's crazier when you get to the second book, but still crazy to be just like, yeah, get with the program, honey, or get out. She does not get with the program because at Noah Khan's party, one event, Noah Khan's party, she tries to seduce him by like, ooh, look at my outfit. Ooh. And he immediately is like, have some respect for yourself. Ugh. Ew. And I feel like a big part of her relationship with Sean is, well, Hannah's big personality in the books is her need for popularity, because she says that even though she was part of the popular group when Allison was alive, no one really looked at her as popular because she was chubbier, more unattractive than the other girls. So I think a big part of her relation with Sean, especially when you get to the second book, is she wants to be desired by him because he knew her when she was not, attractive, and now he's with her and she thinks like, if he doesn't sleep with me, it's because he still sees me as a girl I used to be and an attractive person, and that's why he doesn't want me. And after the breakup with Sean at the party, she steals his keys and crashes his car, which is crazy. She crashes his car, which is crazy because, baby, you just got off a shoplifting charge. And because this is a bigger deal than, shoplifting, her mother begins a relationship with Wilden because of this. And Wilden's more prominent in the second book, so I'll mention him later. You are going to be shocked as all I'm going to say. Anyways, last and not least, we have Spencer. I actually love Spencer also. She's one of my favorites. And Spencer is actually a blonde in the books, which I think is very interesting. I always thought it was stupid that they were like, oh, Hannah's blonde, so she wants to be Allison because she's skinny now. Because I feel as though Spencer being the blonde one who looks a lot more like Allison, as they mentioned, is very interesting because I think they're very similar people. I think Allison and Spencer, very similar personality and probably genetics. I don't know if that's a thing they kept in the books as well, but if you remember the show, God, whew. Honestly, to be fair, Peter Hastings was everyone's dad. If your mom knows Peter Hastings, he's probably your dad. Peter Hastings was like the Nick Cannon of Rosewood. The man was he was the dad of everyone. Damn. Spencer's storyline is actually around Ren, Melissa, and her parents. As you remember, Spencer was very pissed in the show, at least the pilot episode, about the barn that she helped renovate not being hers, which I did mention. The Hastings family, like the Khans, are very, very rich. You'll see what I mean, especially if you read the books and you ever get to Spencer's chapters, the way she describes her house. Like, there's a big, big mansion, and then there's like a farm. I'm not even kidding. She says there's a farm. The barn is like a legitimate barn. Like, it looks like a fancy shed in the show, but it's a barn with like everything in it. Oh god, it sounds beautiful. And she does actually live in the barn for a little bit, because she gets a very high score on her PSATs, and her family's that type of family to be like a reward for your scholarly achievements. And she says like, I want the barn, even though they just let Melissa have the barn because Melissa's house is getting renovated, a house she got because she graduated from Yale? UPenn. I'm confusing it because Wharton is the school from Two Broke Girls. I got confused. It's some kind of fancy school. And she does get the barn. She lives in it a little bit. And then she gets caught kissing her sister's fiance, Ren. And instead of being like, Melissa, your fiance is weird. He's 24, 25. He's a pre-med student. Or no, he's doing his residency. He's not even like, yeah, he's a med student doing residency, kissing a child. They're like, Spencer, you harlot. You harlot, you are kissing this boy. Get back in the house. Yeah, so they take the barn away from her, give it to Melissa, and they kind of ice her out from there. They barely feed her. That's not an exaggeration. I'm not kidding. They literally don't invite her down to dinner. They kind of ice her out. They're like, you harlot. It's crazy. Very interesting. And Ian Thomas does get mentioned in the first book, actually. Ian Thomas, who when he was 17 and Spencer was 12 years old and he was dating Melissa, he did kiss 12-year-old Spencer. 17 and 12. That's wow. And he actually gets invited to the dinner she gets iced out at after Melissa and Ren break up. And they're like, oh, yeah, why would we invite you? Harlot. And yeah, her parents are something else. Though I will say her dad is not as bad as her mom, though they both suck. You know, again, they're like ready to attach the scarlet letter to her chest, being like, Scarlet, you. Like, they're very ready to go. Which is crazy because after this whole icing out begins, they find Allison's body in Maya's family's backyard now, the gazebo, and literally she's grieving. She just found out her best friend's dead, and they comfort her while she's having a panic attack about this? No. If you think the funeral of her best friend stops them from being like, you harlot, you are wrong, is what you are. Now trust me, it only helps them escalate. They're like, oh, are you broken now? Aw, seems like a you problem to me. Like I mentioned, you know, I kept mentioning the funeral, Allison's body. Like I said, they don't talk to each other. They actually do try to talk to each other in the first book a little bit. Like, oh, I should ask them if they're getting these letters because, you know, this is only secrets Allison knew. And they all kind of like separately suspect like, oh, it must be Allison that's doing these. It is obviously not. And they're kind of come to that conclusion when they're all like by that house going, oh, she's dead. Oh. Huh. But, you know, when they're all at the funeral and they're like sitting next to each other, you're Allison's friends. And they do. And they're like, so what's good, guys? Anyone getting strange messages? And they are. And they kind of come to the conclusion like, oh my god, wait. And they're like, well, it's gotta be over. She's dead. But she's been dead for 3 years. Who's sending us these letters? And, you know, A does the iconic, I'm still here, bitches. And they're like, oh. And that's where the first book ends. I hope that makes sense. The second book actually starts where the first book ended, at the funeral. They kind of, you know, they're like, wait, Allison's dead. Who's sending us these letters? And messages too. And they're like, do you see that in the back of the chapel? Jenna and Toby. But Jenna and Toby haven't been here since the Jenna thing. What? And they're kind of like, we can't talk here. Jenna and Toby were here. The police are like, let's ask you questions because it's not a missing persons case. This is a homicide or whatever they want to call that. And they're like, we gotta go meet at our whole old hangout, our old spot. The elementary school swings. And they do. They all drive separately. Girl, this is a small town. Nobody's looking that hard. And, you know, they all drive this swings. And they're like, so you guys are getting messages too? And like I said, there's a distrust between these people. They don't trust each other with their secrets because they don't really know each other anymore, you know? So that conversation ends very quickly as it started. They're all just like, yeah, we'll keep each other in touch. Because nobody's willing to be like, what is mine about? They're all just like, is it personal? Yeah, me too. Yeah. Let's keep each other in touch about these messages. No need to harp on about it. I think I'm ready to go. I think I'm ready to go. And that's kind of where it ends for them, being like, yeah, well, we'll talk to each other. As I mentioned, the Jenna thing is very prominent in this book especially. They tease it a little bit in the first book. They'll be like, the Jenna thing. But they don't really talk about it, mostly because Toby's been sent out of town after the Jenna thing happened, and Jenna has been at a blind school since the Jenna thing happened. So, but when they see that Jenna and Toby are back in town and Allison's dead, they kind of are like, what if it's Jenna and Toby? Or at least Toby. Because like I said, Jenna's not really prominent when it comes to the Jenna thing. It's Toby that they're more scared of. The reason for that is because Toby is the one that took the blame for the Jenna thing when it happened. The Jenna thing happened when the girls were at a sleepover at Allison's house, and while they're trying on each other's clothes, Allison said she saw Toby in the, window, so she's like, let's go teach him a trick and throw fire throwers in his treehouse, because his parents had actually said a week before that if he did that again, they would send him away. And, she does. What she didn't know was Jenna was in the treehouse, and it burns Jenna as well as blinds her. And they're like, oh my god, we're going to get in so much trouble. And what they don't know is why Toby took the blame for something Allie did. Nobody knows. The only person in the group that does know why is Spencer, but she hasn't fessed up that she knows why he took the blame. She hasn't even said that it's because Allie blackmailed him. She just goes, so none of them know. So to them, it's kind of like, oh my god, it's like an accident or something. Like somehow he knows and he took the blame, so he hates us. He wants to get revenge for being sent away for a crime we committed, not him. Which, I'm sorry, we is crazy. What do you mean we? Allison was the one doing it. I'm sorry, I would have thrown around the train like, I was not there. I was sleeping in my sleepover. I don't know what happened. We? Oh. Also, something to mention, especially because I mentioned the Jenna thing, is something that never made sense to me in the original show was why A was that adamant against the girls, because they were mostly bystanders, and I guess you could argue a case for the bystanders being also part of it. They're implicit in it because they didn't do anything, but there's no gray area in the books. The girls are 100% bullies, as well as Allison was. There's no like, oh well, no, they are. They very much laugh along with it. There's no awkward laughter. They laugh along with it. They throw shade as much as Allison does. Maybe not as much as Allison does, but they throw shade as well. There's no bystanders in the books. They're all part of the bullying. Maybe not as much as Allison is, but they're all part of it. No bystanders. Except the Jenna thing, but no bystanders. Toby's presence, like I said, is a very big part of the Jenna thing, but it's also a much bigger part of Emily's chapters. Like I said, Maya honestly doesn't come up that much this book. But you know who does? Toby. Toby is, like, I would say Emily's first. God, the amount of cop car sounds. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up, but Jesus, which is honestly appropriate sound We know what this book's about. Anyways, Toby's actually a very, very big part of Emily's chapters. I would say he's her main storyline, kind of. So for the second book, for the second book, Emily's avoiding Maya because she thinks like, oh my god, I gotta be normal. Like, no more of these feelings. If I avoid her, they go away. That's how it works. And she actually befriends Toby when he helps stop Ben from assaulting her. And, they become friends. And he goes to a different private school called Tate Academy, I think. Tate. And he's also on the swim team. And, like I said, they become a little friendly because... I forgot what exactly, but Emily kind of has a panic attack and he, helps her after, I think, the assault. And she's like, well, we must be friends. And with, when they're at the swim meet between Tate and Rosewood Day, against each other, they actually talk, and Emily thinks, that summer that Allison went missing, she was dating an older guy, and she was kind of in her bad boy phase. What if it was Toby? So she's kind of like, well, if Allison likes him, I like him, and kisses him. Which is, weirdly enough, the yearbook photographer takes a photo of that, which is a little strange. It's like, girl, what are you doing here? It's weird. There's no way this part of the yearbook. You're weird. And why I mentioned the swim captain thing earlier was the Foxy, which is the dance event, the event of the book. The dance event that happens at the end of the book is this fancy little dance they're doing. It's supposed to be a charity ball, but the tickets are very, very expensive. And like I said, Emily's family is middle class, so they're not about to shell out money for this, But because she's a swim captain, she gets free tickets. So she actually invites, Toby as her date. She's like, oh, I like you. I also like you. I like you. Like I said earlier, Arya's relationship with Ezra ends after the first book. That's not a thing that, they pick up in the second book as, they get back to. Ezra is kind of a footnote in her chapters in the second book. He doesn't really get mentioned a lot. But like I said, what does get mentioned is Byron and Meredith. And A actually sends Arya a text that says, if you don't break up Meredith or Byron by the midnight of the day the Foxy's at, then, the Saturday of the Foxy event, I'm gonna tell your mom. I'm gonna send a letter and I'm gonna break up your family. So she actually tries to break them up. She's very, proactive. And something I find very interesting is when the whole Meredith and Byron thing got brought up in the show, they kind of somehow got Ezra involved in this, which is like, baby, why would he be involved? What? Didn't even make sense. She went to Ezra, oh, I don't know what to, why would he be involved? She does not involve him in the books. That's kind of her own thing. It actually sends her a text that says Meredith's going to be leading this yoga class, so go there. And she meets Meredith, and something she mentions is when she first saw Meredith in the car and then at the bar, she kind of didn't think that Meredith would be like this. And by what she meant was, Meredith is very artsy, just like Ella is, because Ella is a gallery owner. Her mom, Ella, gallery owner. She's like, Ella's very artsy, the family's very much oh, no, literally, they're don't call us mom and dad, call us Ella and Byron, so she didn't, very hippie, boho, So what she didn't expect was Meredith to be very similar to Ella. She was like, I thought he was cheating because he was trying to look for something he didn't have with Ella, but this is Ella. What do you, which kind of, is babe, cheating is not about, oh, something I don't have. It's about a lack of respect. He just didn't have respect for Ella. He's also weird because that girl is younger than you, man. Shallow or not. Who are you fooling? I've seen Suits. Anyways, she kind of, sees Meredith at the yoga place and they actually get along. But she kind of rushes out because she's like, because she sees Spencer in the yoga class, and like I said, there's a distrust between the girls. So she's like, what if it is Spencer? What if it is? Because I actually remember the day the Jenna thing happened, you know, when after the blackmail went down and Spencer was like, this isn't right, we got to tell the other ones, Allison. She actually heard something about that. She didn't know what exactly happened, but she knew Spencer knew a little bit more, and that's why she has more distrust of Spencer. She's like, and Spencer's at this yoga thing that A sent me to, where my dad's affair partner is. Huh. So she like runs out and bikes away, and you know, she kind of leaves. Another part of Arya's storyline, intertwined with that actually, is her new relationship with Sean, Hannah's fresh ex-boyfriend. And like I said, the thing that really with the Hannah and Sean thing about the whole virgin thing was Hannah wanted to feel desire. That's a big part of her, because she doesn't, like, she knows she's pretty now, but there's still gonna be a part of her that she never healed that's like, well, I used to be unattractive, and the day if I get one pimple in my face, people are gonna... My phone died when I was mid talking. It said shut the hell up, and it died. So if you think the lighting is different, that's probably why. I was still good lighting. I was like looking at my nose because I forgot where I left off. Okay. So basically, for Hannah, I'm pretty sure the whole thing with Sean was more like, he doesn't desire me, which definitely was not helped this book, because immediately as soon as, you know, Sean and Arya like start a relationship, you know, they don't call it a relationship, but you know, he immediately tries to sleep with her. Like, they literally go to the dance. And immediately he's like, I want to sleep with you. He tries to sleep with her in the parking lot of the dance they're at, by the way, like multiple times, which is like, did you just dump your girlfriend for wanting to sleep with you? What? And it's crazier, not only because Arya and Hannah are friends, and if you think Arya didn't know that Hannah and Sean were dating because they broke up right before school really started, she knew, because Noel Kahn, who's also Sean's best friend, they're all in a friend group, like, is like, oh, you're dating Sean now? He was asking about you. And then like James, who's also part of the group, and they're all like, actually Noel's the one's like, Hannah, didn't you and Sean just break up? And it's like, it's very messy. Yeah, that's the thing that's gonna come up a little later. Anyways, speaking of Hannah's storyline, like I said, whoever's on the book cover, that's whose storyline the books are more about than the others. And, well, Hannah's on the storyline. Hannah's on the book cover for Flawless, so it's her storyline mostly, because there's so much about Hannah that's going on. For example, besides the whole thing with Sean, like, she wants to get together with Sean, but he dumped her. She was like, I don't know how the rumor started. Maybe it was Mona, maybe it was her. They were like, did Sean dump you? And she's like, no, it's confirmed. I dumped him. Because to, you know, preserve her popularity. Also, to not make it seem like she's still fat Hannah who's not attractive. That's like literally how she says it. And Hannah has to work at the burn clinic Sean's dad owns now, because though they got rid of the arrest, like she didn't get arrested for the car crash, Hannah's dad, Tom, comes back into town after not seeing his daughter for years, absent dad, and he's like, I heard about that. Mind you, she comes back from the funeral, like the day later, of the funeral of her best friend that died, that she didn't know that died because, you know, she was missing, and he's immediately like, so you crashed a car. She's like, what the hell? What? Though Hannah and Ashley Marin are not really that close in the books as they are in the show, I would say Ashley's more of a distant mom. She still loves her daughter very much. It's very evident. So it's kind of like, Mom, why would you do that? And, you know, Hannah's relationship with her dad is kind of very prominent. That dinner that happened in the pilot episode of the show kind of happens actually in this book, which I said is not like the pilot at all. Anyways, her dad rolls in the town and she has to start working at the burn clinic too. Though she didn't get charged, it's kind of like to make it up to them because she did crash a car. DUI. That's actually what the charge was about. Her mom made sure she didn't get a DUI because apparently Rosewood was really strict about that. That's why she started that relationship with Wilden, but she still has to work because, she did crash their expensive car. And, like I said, Mona and Hannah's friendship is not very secure because, first of all, she doesn't even tell Mona her dad's back in town. And when they do discuss this, Mona goes, wait, I thought you said your dad was dead. And apparently that's something she also told Sean as well. So I guess she was like, dead? He is dead. Dead to me. Did I not say the to me part? Dead to me. Not dead. Dead to me. Literally, she says that. She's like, well, he was dead to me. I didn't think he was going to roll back into town. And, Hannah and Mona's friendship, like, they have a big fight in this book because, she's like, you were hanging around with your old friends again, which, girl, they only talked about once or twice. She's like, you're keeping secrets. You've been keeping secrets since, like, the whole shoplifting thing because, her dad rolled back into town. I don't think she told Mona about the burn clinic either, working there, and... well, the A messages, she's like, you're keeping secrets. So when they actually go to the Foxy to, like, buy a dress or shoes, they have, like, a fight. And Mona's like, well, I shoplifted these shoes you wanted for you, but fine, have them. And I mentioned earlier that Allison dumped her two previous best friends to be best friends with the liars. And the best friends, Naomi and Riley, are two other popular girls at the school, though they mentioned Mona and Hannah are, like, the most popular. I guess Naomi and Riley kind of rival them. I don't think it's in the level of popularity. Like, they're just very popular as well, and they hate Mona and Hannah. And they were also at this mall. And I mentioned them because Hannah attends the soccer game that Sean's playing at. And I guess it's a tradition for Mona and Hannah to, like, watch the soccer game together. Be like, ooh, men playing soccer. I get that. I love football players. Like, soccer, football players. It's football. I love that too. No, I get it. That's the one I get. I got that. Anyways, but she's alone because they just had that fight at the mall. But Naomi and Riley are there. And... actually, a little before that, Hannah had gone to the YMCA to go to the chastity meeting or the virginity club that Sean went to because she wants to get back together with him. She's like, I don't know, they kind of have good points. And anyways, Naomi, I think that's the one, sees her there because the YMCA is a workout place, and that's kind of what she mentions at the mall that kind of also leads to Mona and Hannah fighting, like, oh my god, you're keeping secrets. Anyways, at the soccer game, Naomi and Riley are there together, but Mona, I guess, ditched Hannah because they had a fight. Hannah actually goes to talk to Sean, and she's like, I don't think I'll be going to the Foxy, which is a big deal because the Foxy is the event of the year, and Hannah loves popularity and whatever. Even though they haven't gotten back together, they have been talking a little bit because of the V Club, and Sean's like, I might not go too because, like, I don't want to, like, third wheel my friends, She's like, ooh. And he's like, let's get dinner together sometime. And she's like, it's working. And what happens is when she goes back to her seat on the bleachers, there's a note from A that tells her to tell Naomi and Riley that she got dumped. She not dumped Sean. She got dumped, and that she has ED. And it's in, like, the cruelest way you can tell too. And the reason she has to do that is if she doesn't, she's gonna tell Hannah's dad. Though Hannah and her dad don't have a great relationship, she does kind of want to still, like, fix that relationship. She doesn't want him to be distant forever. She's like, or I'm gonna tell him what you did to Jenna. And she does say, she goes up to them, and it's, like, very strange. She's like, they trying to be, like, catty. They're like, oh, you're alone. And she's like, I got dumped, and I have an ED. Anyways, and, like, walks away. And Hannah's dad is like, oh, I want to make amends. We haven't seen each other in 10 years. Not 10 years. We haven't seen each other in years. And it's like, whose fault is that? He's like, I miss you. We should hang out, come to my Philly hotel. There's, like, the spa and, like, whatever. It's so beautiful. We could spend a day, have lunch, see this play or whatever. What he doesn't tell her is he also invited Isabel and Kate. And unlike the pilot, where they never really touch on how much she knew Isabel and Kate, Hannah actually does know Kate, because before Allison went missing, and Hannah's dad got together with Isabel, he asked Hannah to visit them, and Hannah asked Allison to accompany her because she didn't want to be alone. I guess this girl that her dad's replacing her with, her words. And Allison's like, we'll show that girl who's the girl, who's the it girls, whatever. And immediately dumps Hannah to hang out with Kate, because Hannah describes the bond between Allison and Kate that summer as this cute girl bond that she couldn't relate to because she thinks she's really ugly, and she's and Kate looked down on me because I could see in her eyes immediately she didn't see me as competition, she saw me as inferior. And like I said, Hannah didn't know about the whole Isabel and Kate also joining them, so she's like, yeah, I guess I'll skip the Foxy. That's why she didn't want to go with the Fox. She's like, yeah, I guess I'll skip it to hang out with my dad. And it was a big sacrifice for her, by the way. Not that big for me, but I get it. And anyways, she gets sprung on that they're also joining. She's like, I thought it was a between us thing. And while they're at the dinner, Hannah gets a text from A being like, you were a good girl, reading that weird note to Naomi and Riley, of all people. And as a reward, I'm going to tell you, Sean is at the Foxy with another girl. And Hannah's like, what the fuck? What? And, she tells Kate, and she thinks she and Kate have this cute girl bond too, because she saw how Hannah looked now, and she's like, and she's like, go to the Foxy, I'll cover for you. And while Hannah's searching for her little ticket, I don't know what it's called, I live in Boston, the MBTA Charlie card, I don't know, something for the Pennsylvania version of it. Anyways, while she's looking for that, a packet of Percocet that she lifted from the burn clinic, which I'm sorry, you're just having a line around, falls out, and Kate's like, can I have this? I'm gonna need this to get through this dinner with your dad. And Hannah's like, oh yeah, I guess we're friends. Yeah, sure. Anyways, that does not go well at all, but more on that later. She reaches the Foxy and she sees that it's Arya, whose dress is a little unzipped, is at the dance with Sean, and she's like, she chews them out very publicly, and then she's like, is everyone pitying me right now? What's going on? She cries and goes to the bathroom. By the way, there's this recurring thing with Hannah, that anytime she kind of has any sort of breakdown, anytime she looks in the mirror, she's immediately like, and oh my god, I see the girl that I used to be with the pimples and the before I changed my appearance with the frizzy hair and whatever, and then I'll look again, and which I think is very interesting about her personality, about why her appearance means so much to her and what it means to her. But because that the fight, I guess, was public, Mona comes in to comfort her, and she's like, I can't believe he did that to you, that asshole. And I'm trying to make sure, yes, I mentioned it all. But we'll get back to Tom and Kate, don't worry. What I forgot to mention about the visit to the summer before Allison went missing is her secret. And she was like, only Allison knew for the book. They all have only Allison knew this. Every book, I swear. And that was actually when they went on the trip to visit Kate and Isabel and, Tom. When she was in the bathroom to purred, because her dad, as a nickname, was like Little Piggy, and Allison and Kate are hanging out. She's left out. She goes to the bathroom too. Allison walks in to the bathroom, and not only sees her trying to do that, but the brush she used was Kate's, because it said Kate on it, and that's the secret. Not only was she trying to do that, but with Kate's brush. That's the secret. And I said, Spencer's parents are a little evil, because they still are mad about the whole Ren and Spencer thing at Spencer, mind you, who's a minor. And literally barely a few days after Allison's funeral, when Spencer goes in to buy her textbooks for her class, she finds out her credit cards are frozen. So she has no way to feed herself because they're also not inviting her to dinner. And up until that point, even though Ren was calling Spencer a lot, Spencer was kind of avoiding him because she didn't want to piss off her parents any further, or, Melissa. But in that moment, she's like, this is the last straw. Last time I'm feeling guilty. And she calls him back, goes to his apartment, they hook up, it's her first time. That relationship does not last long, actually. But when she comes back to the house and Melissa's like, let's make up, I'm over it. It's like, over what, babe? Your adult boyfriend, fiance, tried to kiss your minor sister. Feel like you're wrong mad at the wrong person. You're wrong at the matter. Anyways, but she sees a hickey Spencer has, and she's like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? And Spencer has it cover immediately. And if you remember Andrew from the show, he is actually very prominent. Not prominent. He appears a lot in Spencer's chapter. It's a lot. And she kind of says he's also very smart. He's her academic rival, which rival's pushing it because he is not thinking of her as a rival. He has a crush on her because when she thought he was A for a second and she found his MySpace and she was like, he just says these pathetic poems about a girl he has a crush on. And when she had that panic attack when she saw Allison's body and she was like, somebody covered me in a blanket, comforted me. It was Andrew. He 100% has a crush on her. So she kind of covers and she's like, I do have a boyfriend, and I'm gonna go ask him to the Foxy, and it's Andrew, and she asked him, and she does not tell him the whole time that he's a cover for her and her actual relationship, which, girl. And he finds out when they're at the Foxy and she's on a phone call with Ren and she's like, I wish it was you here, and he hears and he's like, which, girl, that's if To All the Boys I Loved Before happened, but Peter never told Lara Jean it was a fake relationship. Girl. Anyways, there's not enough time for Andrew's emotions because Spencer sees Toby and Emily together, and like I said, she's the only one that knows why Toby took the blame, and she's like, I have to find the other girls because that's not okay. He might be A and he might have killed Allison because of what Allison knew about him. And Arya and Hannah are literally fighting. She's like, how dare you go with Sean? So literally, first of all, let's backtrack. Hannah and Mona just made up about the fact that, she's hanging out with her old friends. They're talking, their secrets. Literally, while they're in a mid-hug, forgiving each other for the fight, Spencer literally comes and grabs Hannah. She's like, we gotta go. I'm like, girl, timing. But anyways, she goes to find Arya, and immediately Arya and Hannah are fighting, which is like, Arya, I don't even understand. Baby, what leg do you have to stand on? That's her ex-boyfriend of barely a week. What argument you got? Anyways, they're literally fighting. What stops them is the whole Toby and Emily thing. And Hannah's like, wait, hold on. Aunt told me that Arya and Sean were at the Foxy. That means A must be at the Foxy. And if Toby's here, it has to be Toby. Who could hate us more than that? And they're like, oh my god, we have to go find him. And they're like, but wait, why would Toby do this? And la la la. I love I'm speeding right now because it's so exciting. Anyways, like, what is Toby's motive? That he took the blame? But why would he want to kill Allison for that? He took the blame. What happened? And Arya's like, but I remember hearing it. What do you know, Spencer? And Spencer kind of goes yeah, Allison blackmailed Toby. Yeah. They're like, and you didn't tell us? That would be a reason, that would be a motive to want to do all this. And now Emily's with him. What if he hurts Emily? And, they tried to look for her, but Toby and Emily have left the dance. So they, try to call her and all. Meanwhile, Emily and Toby are in the car because they're like, let's leave. There's nothing exciting happening. They're in the car. It's raining. It's lightning. They stop at the red light. There's no one on the road. It's empty. And, Emily's kind of come to the conclusion that, you know what, man. So, she's like, you're my friend, and I feel like I can't keep this in anymore. I want to be fair to you. I think, when I think back on my friendship with Allison, it might not have been a friendship that much. She's mid coming out, and literally Toby interrupts to go, Allison. He literally goes on a rant about how much he hates Allison. He's glad what happened to Allison, and she's like, first of all, let's get back to guys, not to get conspiracy theory, but that was the second time my phone died. Somebody doesn't want this video coming out. It's my battery. Anyways, what I was saying. So she's mid coming out, and Toby goes on this rant about, oh, so glad she's dead. Oh, she was evil. And she was like, wait, I thought you guys were dating. And he's like, dating, that evil. Ugh. And so she's like, whoa. First of all, let's get back to topic conversation. Me. And she's also like, this is scary. You're being weird. You're being aggressive. And so she it's like, you know what? I know it's lightning, raining, pouring. We're a little far from home, but I think it's a little safer for me out there with the lighting than it is in here with you. So she runs out the car. She's running home through the cornfield in her little pretty dress, but she left her purse in his car. So she reaches home, but her home empty. Nobody's home because her parents went to visit her grandma or grandparents. Her sister Carolyn, because they're too poor to afford tickets, and she only got a ticket because she was a captain. Carolyn's not wasting that money she gets from her babysitting gig, so she's on a date with her boyfriend at the movies. She's home alone, but she doesn't even have her keys. Her keys are in the purse she just left in Toby's car. Her phone isn't there either. It's light. It's storm. There's no light in the house. She somehow gets in the house from the back door because nobody locked it, which is crazy. Girl, it's not that safe of a neighborhood. You didn't hear some girl got found in her gazebo? Anyway, she gets in the house. She's locking. She's like, oh my God, there's no one in here. Let me get a knife. But then she's like, my keys are in my purse, which is in his car. Not a second is she in the house. She hears the phone ring. It's Spencer. Spencer's like, oh my God, you're safe. You're good. Oh, thank God. Toby, phone cuts out. Who's slamming out of her windows immediately after as there's no electricity in the house? It's light. There's no light. It's dark. Toby, he's all, let me in. And she's like, oh my God. We are so poor. My garage door is not closing. And he has my keys in my purse. Oh, damn it. So she's like, well, I only have one weapon against him. This knife? No. My voice and my threats. Because she starts yelling at him, I know what you did. Because she thinks he killed Allison. So she's like, I know what you did. And he's like, what? I thought no one was gonna know. I thought Allison wasn't gonna tell. I thought, I changed and times changed and it's never gonna change, is it? So he runs to the woods in the back of our house. He's gone. The next morning, a hiker comes to her door. Can I use your phone? Someone's dead in the woods. Back to the others. We'll get back to this program shortly. Back to the others. When Hannah gets back to Philly, Kate did not have her back. Instead says to Tom that Hannah ditched to go to the dance and gave her drugs. Hannah's mom, Ashley, comes to pick her up, and Hannah's kind of like, okay, what's going on? You said you wanted to hang out, but you did not want to hang out. You invited these people here, and she kind of has a breakdown. Some slashings get said, and Ashley gets hit with one of them. Sideways, And, so when they get back to the house, Ashley, is like, oh, I thought you don't want to come back to my house. Locks the door. But it's okay. She didn't mean it. She opens the door. She's not like somebody else will get to know. And when she wakes up in the morning, Hannah, because Ashley and Wilden are now dating, she's like, by the way, Wilden is Melissa's age. And Wilden chill dude. I'm not kidding. He's kind of like, if he wasn't dating Ashley, kind of like an older brother vibe. Like, he's kind of chill. He's kind of like just trying to do his job. He's not some evil, grimy guy who's trying to get with minors. Very chill, very mindful, very demure. But yeah, very nice guy. And, you know, they're chatting, and she's like, first of all, why'd you come out of my bathroom? Second of all, I think, and don't ask me why I think this, Toby might be the killer. And he's like, no, I can't tell you anything because, you know, I'm a cop and it's an ongoing investigation. But let's just say they asked him about his alibi when she went missing. It's a pretty good alibi. Nobody's looking into him. And she's like, wait. And then he gets a call about something going on at the Fields house. I was about to check my notes because I was like, what am I forgetting? Arya, the deadline's over, Cinderella, because A sends Ella a letter, just like in the show, being like, your husband's cheating and your daughter knows. Guess what Arya wakes up to? Her dad being kicked out the house. Lucky for them, Mike's not coming home after he found out about Byron and Meredith. He's just been sleeping over at somebody else's house. But she kicks him out. And then you know what she says to Arya after she shoves the note to her face? I don't want to see you right now. Girl, why are you blaming the child? Spencer, after she gets home, and it's the next morning, Ren dumps her. He's like, you're a little immature for me. Which, yeah, she's 16. She's immature. She's 16, you weirdo. And he's like, and there's someone else. Guess who the someone else is? Melissa. Because she comes over to Spencer and she's like, well, you know. She's like, look at my hickey. I'm not kidding. That's actually, I'm dead ass serious. She's like, and look at my hickey. And honestly, I only did it to prove that I can. Because I don't actually want him. And then she gets a message. And they must all convene at Emily's house. When they go to Emily's house, because they're like, oh my god, there's cop cars. Which, by the way, I don't understand the location of these houses. I thought you lived in an uber rich neighborhood. How's Emily near your neighbor? Because Emily says she lives near old people because it's like a cheaper part of the Rosewood. I don't even know. Anyways, they get to Emily's house. And first of all, Wilden's like to Hannah, like, girl, I told you to stay at home when I left your house. And Emily's like, no, it's my friend. They're like, oh my god, Emily, you're okay. And she's like saying what happened, like, oh my god, they found Toby in the woods behind my house himself. And guess who comes by to give Emily back her purse and a letter Toby wrote to all of them on the back of the thing from the dance, mind you, on the program. Anyways, Jenna, I told you she only makes 2 appearances. The girl's not around. And she's like, this is for you. And the letter is very vague. He's like, I am ashamed of what I did. And they're like, oh, I guess he did kill Allison. And Hannah's like, no, guys, I'm trying to tell you, nobody's looking into him because he has an alibi. He didn't do it. And they're like, what's he talking about? And Spencer's like, guys, I gotta tell you something. Toby took the blame instead of us because Allison blackmailed him. Because she knew that he was touching his sister. And that's what she had on him, and that's why he took the blame. That's a plot twist. Because do you remember how in the show they were like, it was Jenna was the manipulator in that relationship? Toby's older than Jenna and the girls. Not that much older. They kept saying he was like held back a little bit. I think he's like a year or 2 older, but older. It was his fault. He was the problem in the books. That's why. I think honestly the blackmail didn't kind of make sense in the show because it's like, you're a victim. But here it makes complete sense, doesn't it? So they're like, wait, he might not have killed her, but is he A? They're like, well, he must be. That blackmail would be enough to do it. Like, huh. So they're like, oh, well, he must have been A, but like, he's dead, so it's good. Emily, you know, they hang out, they cry a little bit because Emily's like, I think I made him do it, because I was like, I did not know. Ooh, and he might have changed and he might have felt guilty about that. I might have made him himself. But they're like, you know, he's A, he's dead, you know, it's all over, it's done. It's funny how they always end the book. But anyways, she goes back to her room to hang her purse, and she gets a text from A. Her phone lights up going, I'm gonna tell her. Well, that's not exactly what it says, but it's enough to send the message. A, still around. Toby, not A. Who's shocked? I mean, I think the most shocking part was what the blackmail was, not the fact that he's not A. Like, oh, really? I'm serious. The first book of the book series, I actually was like, I guess it's like a pilot. I mean, there's not that much difference. But I swear, the second half of Flawless had me hooked. I was like, Toby, whoa. Honestly, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I feel like at some point they were like, let's go with Toby and Spencer instead of Toby's actual storyline. Because, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I think this storyline might make a little more sense. You know, Jenna's not a villain. She's chill, I guess, as much as you can be. Because Jenna honestly outwardly never did anything to them, mind you. She's just like, is this your purse? Closing thoughts. Honestly, Flawless, getting good. Second half had me like, okay, wait, what's going on? Hate Kate still. Don't love Isabel. Loser. Sean, hate that child's a minor. She literally went, you're as responsible as your child. Girl, no, she's not. No, she's not. Hastings' parents, evil. Losers, loser behavior, blaming your minor child for the behavior of an adult. Girl, this happened twice. They might not know about Ian Thomas, but Melissa has a weird type. If she finds another guy who has a thing for her sister, I'm seeing a pattern, babe, and it's not a good one, is it? Who are you attracting? Am I forgetting people? Noel Khan. Listen. I've always liked Noel better than Ezra. You know when he was blackmailing Ezra in the show, and I was supposed to think, oh, he's so emo. I didn't. I was like, I would too. I mean, listen. You gotta do what you gotta do, and what you gotta do is make sure Ezra never wins in life. Also, to find out that Ezra was not that prominent in Arya's chapters in the books is crazy. Why was that a thing that happened in the show then? No reason for any of that. Mike's actually pretty interesting, I gotta say. I'm kind of pissed they took away most of his personality in the show, because he kind of seems interesting. He's chill, as much as you can get for another sibling, I guess. It's kind of chill. Can't wait for the 6th book. That's all I'm gonna say. Screw Kate, screw Tom, still a loser, aren't ya? Kathleen's a little bitch. Carolyn's not that better off, but she doesn't know. I don't know. Carolyn's just there to just do one-liners, like, yeah, I'm going to maybe my boyfriend. Yeah, I'm glad you're a swimming captain. Like, she doesn't say much. She's just there to be there. Maybe that's why they cut her ass out. Because I've heard she gets more important later on. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I hope you like my outfit. I know it looks really dark right now because... but I hope you can see the most important thing, my hair and my outfit. I hope you're like, oh my god, eats. You know what I think with the sunglasses and the hair? You know what it kind of looks like? I hope it looks like, at least. Wild Child. I love Wild Child. Like, her, like, I don't know. This looks like when she had her blonde hair, the wig. Anyways, this is not a wig. I'm actually glad I filmed this video today because I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. And I think, guys, I've only started doing this side part, like, a week. You don't know me, but I love my curtain bangs. These might be gone next video when I read the third and fourth book. I'm honestly gonna try to finish. I know it's 18 books, but I'm gonna try to finish all 18 books and the videos this month and next month. I'm gonna try to finish it by the end of October because I just think appropriately. Because a lot of people go like, oh, Pretty Liars is a September book. It's an autumn, like, it's not book, show. Autumn show. I feel like that too. I don't know if it would be appropriate for them to get the Thanksgiving or Christmas. I've seen those Christmas episodes. That was wild. Also, if you think about the timeline of the show, they kind of had multiple Christmases. Anyways, not to yap on about on my outro, but I hope you liked my video. I really, really hope you liked my video. Interruptions and all. And I hope you're like, she's so pretty, I must subscribe. She's so funny, I must subscribe. I must subscribe. I must subscribe. You know, I'm going to keep saying, I will subscribe as a way to like subliminally manifest, you know, for you. Yeah. I feel like she's so pretty. I must see more of her yappery. Or you're like, I love her posters. Ooh. Ah. Or you're like, oh my god, the outfit was definitely appropriate for this video, and so was the side part, and she actually pulls off a side part. Those are all things I hear. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you're still here after that yappery, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I hope I'll see you again. Please.